time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
We're here. Sorry, we had a few little bumps in the road, but for some reason, Jesse, I pushed the
restarting.
button.
I don't know why. I haven't seen anybody do that before. Yeah,
who knows what's going on there? But
somebody thought it was a clue for key number 25. Another clue.
Yeah, really.
The way you're restarting like that.
Had to restart. Yeah, that was a nice clue. No, that's not. Thanks, Pete. Direwolf said that. All right, real quick, then we'll get our guest on with us. Big thanks to Derek of Baker Six Clan and our featured patrons, Jokerus, Skippy Teddy 83, and Casper Fly, Retired Guy, Team Murky, 1940 Chevy, Joyful Nomad, Crime Fighter 89, Demac 04, OLB 1992, CP 590, and our new patrons, Le Favorite Casher, and returning patron Padib, and Retro Gaming Gal. And without further ado, here is Simon. There he is. Hey, Simon.
He might not be able to hear us. Can you hear us, Simon?
He's working on something.
He's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah. Let's see. He sent us a note. Oh, yeah. So we'll wait and see. So I'll send him a note. Can you hear us yet, Simon? Oh, he's waving. Hey,
see us, but can't hear us, right?
Can you hear us? You can't hear us?
Okay.
Okay.
That's not good.
Yeah, we have the opposite problem where he could hear me, but I couldn't hear him. We're back to that kind of same deal, Simon. We can't hear you. See, you might want to reboot maybe again and see if maybe that'll help things, or see if you can. He's not on mute, so that's good.
He's not on mute, but it would be sometimes they do. Yeah, he's going to leave and come back.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll see you in a minute, sir.
We can kind of set up and let everybody know what.
Yeah,
he's going to be on the show tonight and why this is going to be such an interesting show.
Yeah. The monkey stole the speakers. Funny you should say that. We will talk about that.
Yeah.
So this is historic. I'm sure nobody has ever attempted or had a person live from Pakistan on their Geocache Talk podcast before. So
I would say no. And as he's going to be explained to us in a minute, this is even more for them. There's such a huge time difference. It's early in the morning. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Maybe it just took such a long time for all the sound to get all the way over to Pakistan.
Yeah, that must be it. Yeah. What was funny too was Simon and I met what is now my evening. We met last night for Simon. So he's slept since we've talked, but I haven't because it's been all day for me. So
Yeah, you could probably see it in my eyes.
No, you're good.
Huge time difference.
I appreciate you getting up so early in the morning to be with us today. We had a couple questions, and we'll jump into the geocaching. But I mentioned Jesse's a teacher too, and so he's like, "Oh, what does Simon teach?" So, can you kind of give people a little bit of a background of what you're doing that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I live abroad, because obviously I'm British, is that I started teaching English as a foreign language long time ago.
Oh, wow.
And have taught it in loads of different places, loads of different situations, from 4-year-olds up to 18-year-olds, adults as well.
Right.
And have worked in various universities, language centers, schools. And when I've been working in schools, I've branched out a bit. So I've taught quite a lot of history as well. And they were looking at me for next year to teach global politics without having any experience of global politics, which was going to be a bit daunting, but apparently it's changed now. And now I'm just going to be teaching English. But yeah, that's what gets me around the world, is the fact that people around the world need English. So that's where I go.
That's wild. That gives you an opportunity to travel the world, though. So that's great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our son is 11 and he's lived in 7 different countries so far.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is.
Yeah. My one regret is I didn't discover geocaching until 2 countries ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You got plenty of time now, though. Now you know it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess tell people a little bit about how you got started in geocaching, and tell people where are some places you have found caches. Some of the countries.
Yeah, well, I met my wife's also British, but we met in Spain, and then after about 6 years in Spain with her, we moved to Hong Kong.
Wow.
Got married in Hong Kong, had a kid, then moved to Portugal, then to Qatar, then to the United Arab Emirates, and then to Saudi Arabia, which was a bit daunting. We thought, Saudi Arabia, that sounds a really dodgy place to go, but hey, the job was there. Turned out to be a fantastic place to live. Absolutely lovely people. Obviously not the people in charge, but the people who live in the country are fantastic.
Right.
Perfect place to go camping. We did a lot of camping, and we got taken out on a trip into the desert by an American guy, Bill Moritz, his name was, who, and while we were out, he said, I'm just going to go and try and find something. And we're like, what are you looking for out here? And he actually let our son, who was he would have been about 6 or 7 then, I think. He let him find the cache, and it was a little Tupperware box up on the side of a rocky cliff that we had to climb up to. But even then, I thought, that was fun, but it didn't grab me straight away. But then at the beginning of COVID, where we were locked down in Saudi, couldn't go anywhere, we could go out into the desert. Just one day, I remembered it, and I thought, there's nothing to do. Let's have a go. So we went out and just had a fantastic day.
That's cool.
And I was hooked. And that was about 4 years ago, I think. 3 years ago it would have been. Yeah, COVID. And since then, I just haven't stopped.
Yeah. So now you spent some time. Most of your caches you found have been in the UK.
Yeah, we were in Saudi for about another 1.5 years after I actually started caching, and in that time, I found 100 caches.
Yeah,
because they're pretty few and far between. And then we moved back to the UK for 1 year. I mean, COVID related, moved back. And there was I couldn't believe how many caches there were everywhere. Had to walk out the door and there was a cache. So I found about 1,200 something in 1 year, and I wasn't doing it all the time. It was just, when I had a bit of free time, go out, go for a cycle ride, find 45, and then moved to Pakistan about 1 year ago, just under 1 year ago.
Okay. You found 62 in Pakistan. So, I mean, I think that's a question that's going to come up. And by the way, if people in the chat room want to ask questions, please ask, and we'll sort of weave them in to the conversation before Simon needs to take off to go teach for the day. But in fact, how many this is the last week for Jesse in Florida teaching.
Okay.
How many more weeks do you have before? Do they take a summer break or?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, end of May. I think June the 1st is the last teaching day.
Oh, yeah. You're coming up on it.
Yeah. So I'll be back in the UK for June.
Oh, cool.
On my own.
Oh no, not with the wife or the kids, kid or name?
Well, my wife's got to work for another month.
Oh, okay.
And Jake's going to go off to do a kind of summer course thing, our son.
Okay.
So I've actually got 4 weeks on my own, which of course I'm going to desperately miss them because what can I do?
Right. I know.
I've got a plan I'm going to go and see a lot of friends in London, and I've worked out a route where I can actually walk from friend to friend because there are a lot of caches on the way.
Wow, that's awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
We have definitely taking advantage of it there.
Yeah.
We have a few Geocache Talk Network guests that we've had that live in the UK, and that's always great. We've we've actually had some on before. Again, that's an easy time frame. That's like 6 hours or something. So it's a little easier for them sometimes to be, especially if we do our podcast to Hope. We had a person on early, which is makes it 10 or 11 for them. But you found 62 caches in Pakistan, and I think that's a thing that I was kind of surprised. I don't know if that's kind of a question that will be one of our questions tonight, which was like, how many? I think you said that there were, when you got to Pakistan, how many caches were in Pakistan, do you think?
Well, in Pakistan, I'm not sure, but in Islamabad, where I live, there was three.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And most of the others, I looked all over the country, and they basically aren't in, the other big cities, Lahore and Karachi. There are none at all. Karachi is a city of 16 million people, and there are no geocaches there. Basically, nobody in Pakistan does or has ever done geocaching. It's just not a thing. Up in the Himalayas to the north, it's not that far. It's a 45-minute flight to get to the Himalayas.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I've looked, and there are caches up there, but most of them are earth caches at about 6,000 meters. 5.5s.
Right.
But so I'd kind of resigned myself to a bit of a sabbatical. It's just like, what I'm going to do. I'll try and find the 3 that are here, but then there's no point hiding any because there's nobody here to look for them.
Right.
And it was and I know that was June, I didn't find any. July, I was away. August, I came back, and I just randomly thought I'd have a look at the map. It was like, bing, hold on. There are 4. There's a new one. Yeah. And it was. So I messaged the guy who's Nick's Starman, and I said, I'm really excited to see your cache. What is it? And he's a local guy. I've never met him, but he's a local guy. And he said that when he was a kid, he used to hide things and then go back a year later to see if they were still there.
Still there. Sounds like geocaching.
I said, you invented geocaching before it was a thing. So I thought, if he's here, I'll start hiding. So he started hiding more. I started hiding. And I think between us, we hit about 25, 28 each.
Yeah.
And then a new guy turned up, a French guy called Docunoc.
Yep.
Who I actually know. He's a friend of somebody that I know. And he just went crazy in kind of January, February, March. And he hit, I don't know how many he hit in that time, about 30 or 40 in that time. So it sort of encouraged me to hide more. So between the 3 of us, we've hidden, I don't know, it's between 100 and 120, I think there are now.
Wow.
That's
so you don't get a lot of people finding them. There are people who have come by on business or something, and they'll find 2 or 3. I've hidden a load on the top of the hills to the north,
Yes,
and
you have.
somebody did. And somebody went along and found 7 in a row one day. I was like, "Who are you?" And then they disappeared again. But and I've got quite a few that still haven't been found, even though I hid them 3 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, we noticed that there's and I've seen some questions come up in the chat room. Thank you. We'll ask those here in a minute. Yeah, I was looking. You have an Earth cache, and I told Jesse it's still waiting for an FTF on this Earth cache. So.
Yeah. There's that's up north. There's 1 Earth cache and 2 traditionals I put.
Right.
And basically the season to get up north is once you get to that was October I hit them. Once you get to November until about April, it's pretty difficult to get there. It's a very isolated region. In the summer, it's fine. You can fly up, and it's fantastic. So I kind of expect if nobody found it in the first couple of weeks, then it wouldn't be found until about April. But obviously, no geocaches have been up there yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, it's crazy. So I do want to try one.
We kind of take it for granted. Like when you're in the UK, you could just find a cache by walking down the street. And now you're in a country, and we looked it up, it's under 180 in the whole country. So that's
wow. Yeah,
that makes it a lot more unique to get out and find some.
I looked up. I can't remember if it's on Project GC or just on the geocaching website, but it tells you the percentage of caches you've found in each country.
Yeah.
And in the UK with my 1,200 something, I found 0%. And in Pakistan with my 62, I found 30-something% of them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know the calculated percentage of what you found.
Yeah. And I think I worked out then that I've hidden something like 40-something% of all the caches in Pakistan too.
That is crazy. So yeah, I want to do one quick thing because your audio's popping a little bit. So I'm going to take you out and bring you back in, just see if that helps at all. But so it'll just be 1 second. I don't know if this is going to help or not, Jesse, but we'll try it.
Yeah,
all right, we'll try it now. I don't know if that helped or not.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So I think the popping does stop. So apologize. I mean, we're using the StreamYard across the entire world, so we're doing what we can here. So anyway,
go ahead. We've had a few questions come in to Gary. Do we want to hit those real quick before we move on?
Yeah, you want to do theirs first? We can. Sure. Do you want to start with?
Because this is going to come up anyway. We're going to ask the same question anyway. But it was, what's the most typical?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on.
I'll let you push it. Yeah, go ahead. You click.
Yeah, we're both pushing the button here.
You're good. I'll step it back.
What's the most typical type of hide in Pakistan?
Yeah, it's so typical that sometimes on my hints I've just put standard. It's basically under a rock. There's very little infrastructure of anything here, and within the cities itself, I've tried hiding in the cities. I've tried magnetics and kind of like camouflage caches, but they all disappear. Not all of them, but most of them disappear, either because people are curious and they're just looking around for stuff, or the gardeners in the parks just take them away. So most of the caches are out in the hills, and I've put some camouflage ones, but mostly the only material you've got to work with is trees and rocks. If you cover them with a bit of wood, that's where the monkeys will be like foraging, picking up the wood to see if there's any grubs or beetles underneath, and they're like, oh, what's this? And probably take that away. So a big rock is probably the best way to stop the caches getting taken.
I had you. I posted your photo right now.
Yeah.
Put it showing photo you showed of. Do they just sit in the road like this? Like
they're so blasé, so relaxed about it all. I'd just been up on a little caching trip, and I came back to my car, and this monkey was sitting there, and they're pretty mean things. You approach them, they could bite.
Right.
So you just have to kind of wait until they leave, and that was a mum. And I waited about 15 minutes before she strolled off. I wasn't in a hurry, it was fine, but she was like, I'm just going to sit here. So.
Yeah,
That's so
I could
wild.
care less what you're doing, human.
No.
This is my spot.
I have never heard a story, and we've talked to a lot of people in a lot of places.
We
I have
have.
never heard a story about somebody losing a geocache to a monkey before. I've never, that has never even come close to being a story that we've ever heard before.
Yeah, there's one cache up in the hills here. The hills are called the Margalla Hills, and the city goes right up to the edge of the hills. So the monkeys come into the top of the city as well. And there are there's lots of marked trails. There are 7 numbered trails that you can go up. And then there's a trail right across the top along the ridge. And one of the trails at the moment, Trail 6, has been closed because families of leopards have moved in. So that area is a no-go area.
Leopards, okay.
I mean, I'd love to see one, but they're basically nocturnal and very elusive. But there's one cache at the top of there that when I got here, I thought that was one of the 3, and I still haven't got there because it's within the leopard territory. I'm going to try and sneak in the top one day and see if I can do that.
Right.
But the latest post on that one says. The guy who'd hidden it said, I replaced the cache again. The monkeys have taken it again. So for the moment, I'm turning it into a kind of virtual. You find this special tree, it counts as the cache.
Right.
But what I'm going to do when I eventually do get there, I've started wiring caches down.
Yeah, I think that was a question people had too that they wanted to ask was, how do you monkey proof a cache? So yeah, tell us, Simon, how you.
The ones that seem to have worked, obviously camel. I've got like a couple that are like just a kind of stick with a hole drilled in the end and a tube and then stuffed into a hole in a tree. That works. But then the other thing is people, I don't want to say they're not, I don't know what the word is. People here who do cache don't have a lot of experience. So they're not going to find that because they're mostly newbies. So I can do that. If the monkeys can't find it, neither can the people.
Which is
so So it's either got to be a rock that's a bit too big for the monkeys to lift up, or wire it down.
Wire it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
just
see that.
Put one up a tree on the ridge the other day. I'd wanted to do that for a while because the ridge is pretty high. It's spectacular views.
Is it that one or no?
No, that's in the UK. That's one in the UK.
Oh, okay. That's back in the UK. Okay, never mind.
But that one itself, no one seems to be able to get to that one either. That one's been there for 13 months, just outside Chester in the north. And Chester's a city of 120,000 people with plenty of active caches, and 4 people have got up that tree in a year.
We'll have to send a note to Daniel and some of our other. We've got even patron. We could tell Owen to do that one too. He's in.
Yeah, I would like a few. I mean, people keep trying and not getting on the tree. I didn't think it was that hard, but anyway.
Yeah.
The one I hid the other day is on the ridge. I know you're basically on the top of the hills, and I thought I can go a bit higher. So I got up this tree and I wired that one down, and that was basically a stick with a hole drilled in the end and a small plastic tube, and then wired to the branch. So that'll stay. The monkeys won't get to it. The monkeys will be able to get to it actually, but I'm not sure anybody here will. I can see that being quite a long first to find.
That's crazy.
And it's also that's about an hour walk from the road. So you got to be dedicated. If you're going to get to that one, you've got to go through quite a few first, and we'll see.
Make it hard, yeah. So a couple comments. Somebody did mention if there's a beware of leopards geocaching attribute.
Yeah, we need one. We do need one.
We'll talk to Brian. We talk to Brian quite often, president of geocaching. So we'll tell him we want to add Jesse. We could add that to our next. You know how we did 3 and they all 3 seem to be added. We'll add another. We'll add beware of leopards. I like that one just for
because that happens all the time, right? You might as well get beware of monkeys too while you're there.
Yeah, beware of monkeys.
Yeah.
Somebody asked earlier, and this is Jesse's big item is we want to. Pizza Ninja asked about having a Where I Go in Pakistan. So
there isn't. I mean, there's basically a load of traditionals. I put one multi. There's a lot of earth caches up in the Himalayas. I put one letterbox just to have it. I haven't put a mystery yet. I don't know if there are any mysteries.
There's no mysteries either.
No, there's no where I goes. Well, there are in Islamabad now. There are 5 lab caches that were put here by a friend back in the UK, just for me. Cool. He said, and he made them really easy. And Dokinok, the French guy's also done them. He said, I thought you'd appreciate it. And they just turned up on the map one day, and I was like, "Whoa, thanks!" That was really nice of him to do that.
If Jesse builds the Where I Go for you, because Jesse's a big Where I Go guy,
okay,
would you hide it then?
Yeah, sure.
You could be the first person to hide one in the whole country, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, you'd be the first person in the whole country to hide a Where I Go.
And it would instantly become the oldest in that country also.
That's right.
This is the only one.
How often? Yeah. There's never been there, because we never have that situation.
No.
So you're right. I instantly, Jesse, you're right. I never thought about it. It instantly becomes the oldest Where I Go in that country.
And somebody else asked, so I looked it up while we were doing this. All right, do you know, because you're a Project GC person, are you the number one geocacher in Pakistan right now?
I think I probably am, which would mean I would be in history as well, obviously, because nobody really did it before. I had a bit of a battle early on.
I looked it up for you. You are number one, in fact.
You're number
by
one.
By a slight margin of, let me see, hold on.
From Dokinok, I'm back.
1,450.
You're way ahead.
So you're 1,500. The second person has found 55. So you're slightly ahead of second place.
Slightly ahead.
Yeah.
Pizza Ninja
you probably are the top hider as well. So you're pretty active in that country.
I'm sure he's that. Yeah.
Just need a few more people to move here.
Yeah, there you go.
Pizza Ninja wants to know if there's ever been a geocaching event in Pakistan. I don't know.
No, as far as I know. I mean, since I've been here, no. I was thinking of doing one just for me and the French guy.
Just a meet and greet. Yeah, you and the French guy. Hey, you never could. That could be a chance to have people show up. Well, if they don't know about it, I guess you would tell people, hey, we're going to have a meet and greet and we'll talk about geocaching.
I've tried. I don't know.
Right.
Jesse, what age do you teach? Are they geocaching?
I teach middle school.
Age?
Yeah, so about 11 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah. And I've kind of tried to get, because, you meet the parent, and where I live, we kind of live on a compound, and there are other families and parents, and and you do get people occasionally, I've put up little adverts in the WhatsApp groups and things, and I've told the kids about it and tell your parents and things. And people have a little spurt of 2 days of doing it and then don't do it anymore. And I can't get anyone fully involved. But maybe an event, maybe.
Yeah, do an event. That'd be cool.
I could invite the monkeys along as well.
Plus, you get credit for an event in Pakistan.
Yeah,
even if nobody, even if it's just you and the wife. I mean, that's
Yeah, I don't think the wife would come.
No, that's rough.
That's funny.
The number of when we were in the UK and we go on like hiking, the number of tuts and sighs I had to endure while I was just going to stop for a moment.
Oh
that's
gosh!
Funny.
Yeah. Eye roll. Here comes the eye roll. Yeah.
Why are you crawling into that bush?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple other photos I'm gonna have you comment on, because one of the things you asked, or we talked about, we texted back and forth about, which was other issues that come up other than the monkeys, and one was, and this is the photo that came with your comment. What did I do with that? Oh man, did I not put it up here? Okay, well, I don't have a photo for it, but you tell people about the fact that
is it the bike with the wood on the back?
Trees, yes. I'll grab the photo, but yeah, I don't have a great. I've got the photo, but yeah, tell people about the fact that I found the photo. Go ahead, tell people about the problem with the people.
Yeah,
there's a guy on a motorbike. This is a
big thing, and especially when it was coming towards the winter. That photo I think was taken in about November.
Okay.
basically you see people, a lot of people on bikes, a lot of people just carrying a bunch of wood on their heads. People just go out and collect firewood all the time,
Right.
because it's a really poor country.
Right.
People have very little, and they certainly don't live in houses that have like central heating, electricity,
Sure.
gas. So if they need heating or they need to cook, they'll use wood.
Yeah.
And it made me think, if I'm hiding any kind of caches within a fairly decent bit of wood, somebody's going to take it home and stick it on their fire.
Right.
So I've actually got, if you look at the map sometime, there's a lake just to the kind of the southeast of the city called Royal Lake. And there was one of the original 3 caches were there. So I thought I'll just kind of encourage other people to go by adding a few more. So I added a little series of 10, I think, 9 or 10 down there. And they were basically a very small lump of wood, maybe about the size of a fist, drilled hole, put in those little COVID test tubes. I had a series of those, a load of those I hadn't used or hadn't been used. So I basically put them in. I sealed the end, obviously, so it became waterproof. And because it's a small lump of wood, no one's going to take that. And I called that series the Not Firewood series.
Not firewood. That's awesome.
And last time I checked, they're all there. So people are not going to take it from something that small. So you have to think you can't. And also, I thought if they will saw off the lower branches of trees.
Right.
To take home for firewood.
When they get to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you got to go pretty high. That's why I put that one pretty high the other day.
Right.
Because I don't want that branch to be sawn off and taken away.
Yeah. Well, and like you said too, also that if a person that's not a geocacher, a muggle, finds a container, like you said, since it's a poorer country, they're going to be like, oh, well, I'm sure I could use this for something.
Yeah.
So they're going to take it home with them because, like, oh, look, it's a container. It holds something. I'll take it with me.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you've used a magnet. I mean, a magnet's probably worth something to them.
It's like
I had a short series. I said, basically in the city, I've got a couple in the city. We live in the diplomatic enclave, so that's a bit more protected. But there's also high security, so you can't hide things near places where a policeman's looking at you. You'll get stopped.
Have you ever
3 within the diplomatic enclave, and I've got 2 out in the city.
Right.
And remarkably, they're still there.
Wow.
But one of them has disappeared once, and I put it back. And that was just a magnetic, like a little envelope underneath a lamppost, kind of, stuck underneath. But I think you've got to be, if anyone sees you, I mean, when I was caching in the UK, people come up and say, oh, what are you doing? And you tell them, and they're like, I'm not interested. And they'll wander away.
Okay.
Anyone sees you doing it here, they'll find out what it is, find it, and take it away. So you have to be, extreme stealth on the ones in the city.
Yeah, see, Jesse's former law enforcement, so he's had run-ins on the other side of it. He's been the guy who's busted geocachers' chops going, oh, we're just they try to explain geocaching, and Jesse's like, I know what it is. Go on, get out of here. Have you ever had any Pakistani law enforcement ask you, hey, what are you doing?
Not in Pakistan, but in Saudi. I got one on it. It was just a magnetic one on the back of a guardrail by the side of the road, but it was in front of an electricity pylon. So I just parked the car, and I found it in no time. And I just got the cache out to sign, and this police car pulled up, and just basically said, you can't park it. And
I'm not parked.
I couldn't. I mean, they don't speak English or very minimal English. So and I was about half an hour from home. Yeah. And I couldn't say, just let me sign this and put it back. Because if I put it back, he would have taken it, So I had to take it. I just kept it in my hand, got in the car and drove home.
Came back.
And and I messaged the guy and I said, I've got your cache at home. I'll get it back there when I can, which was about 2 weeks later.
Yeah. probably understood fully that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jesse, you put some more questions in. What that you wanted to
I think
get
it's just
to.
interesting. I mean, obviously, it's interesting for us to hear because the circumstances are so different. But even whether it was Pakistan or another country, I think the other part of it is it's just interesting that you've been able to continue caching with such a, because some people know like they've started in an area when they started caching and there weren't many other cachers around. But usually you can just go to the next town over and find other cachers. You don't have that option, and you're still finding ways to keep it with you and the other couple, I guess, that are there, keeping it fresh. Are y'all talking back and forth and trying to think of, like, hey, I'm probably going to have one next week for you, or do you communicate at all with the other ones?
A little bit between me and the French guy, Dockinot, we do. Starman's actually he went off to work in another town recently, which is a bit of a shame. So he's not here.
Right.
So it's just me and Dockinot at the moment. But even he's got a bad back at the moment, and he's not out there.
Right.
So I actually, and I'm at the moment, it's getting soon. I'm running out of caches to find.
No.
So I haven't. My next calendar day is actually this Wednesday coming up. So I haven't found any for a while deliberately, so I can save one for Wednesday.
Save one. Yeah.
And I don't get a lot of time because my wife's like, you're wasting our weekend. So I'm trying to work out which one I can go for on Wednesday. I'm probably going to have to drive up to the top of the hills and take a short walk to get one. There was one though. There's a guy, a new one appeared.
Right.
Islamabad is kind of a twin city with Rawalpindi, which is below it to the south of it. And Rawalpindi is a much bigger, much rougher city.
Okay.
And there's a park there which Starman, the local guy, put one in, and I went and found that in December, and I put a couple in the park as well. No one has found those ones that are in the park. And then I zoomed out on the map one day and was like, hold on, there should be 3. There's 4 there, and I thought it might be Starman, but it's somebody else.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I recognized the name from a guy one day when my wife was away
for
work. When my son was at school, and I wasn't working that day because I didn't start at the school immediately. And I drove about an hour south to find 2 caches by a lake.
Hey,
there were these 2 that were an hour away. I thought, okay,
that's
because
cool.
there weren't any other. That was when there weren't any others, and it was the same guy. And I looked him up, and this is his 4th. He's hid the first one in 2012. This is his 4th hide, and he's got no finds.
4 hides and 0 hides, 0 finds.
And he doesn't answer messages. So I don't know who he is.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh man.
That's a different challenge. Even other than the geography that you're facing, that's such a different challenge. Like, I've never lived anywhere. I've lived in a few places, but only in the United States since I've been caching. And I've never even considered like I'm gonna run out of caches in the area. Like, that's not even, there's no way I could ever go get them all. And you're having to do the opposite. That's just such a wild experience.
Yeah, I mean, recently more. I've certainly hidden more than I found recently because I'm kind of running out. And if nobody else arrives in the city, I'm gonna have to kind of give it a bit of a break. It is a bit of an echo chamber sometimes.
You do get some interesting opportunities in the country, in that, like you mentioned, hiding a puzzle. If you go and hide a puzzle, you instantly have, especially if you can keep it, the oldest active puzzle in the country. It's the only one, and it's the first
one.
That's all kind of neat
I hadn't thought of it, but I have the oldest multi, I think, in the country. And
it's got to be.
I don't know if there's a letterbox anywhere else. I might have the oldest letterbox as well.
I only saw one letterbox when I was looking it up.
Yeah, it's probably his.
There is another one somewhere, yeah?
No, yours was the only one.
Yours was the only one.
And the only multi is in the whole country that I can see.
Oh, wow.
So, do you know who is the reviewer for you?
Yes.
Do you know?
It's a woman who I only know as Kanaga Green is her name.
Okay.
And I didn't know she was a she until very recently. So I
Right.
call her KG.
Right.
But I posted on the Geocaching Facebook, where you probably saw me originally,
Yeah.
a photo of me up the tree on the ridge.
Mhm.
And then somebody commented and said, because I think this is the hardest one in Islamabad, and she replied, yes, it is.
She knows that.
You've been keeping me really busy.
Oh my.
That's funny.
So I just put KG question mark. She said yes.
That's cool.
So we've had a little conversation, and she's been
Does
great.
she-
She's been brilliant.
Oh, that's
Really
awesome.
supportive.
Do you know if she handles she's probably not in Pakistan.
No,
Or she might be.
I'm guessing she's in the States, but I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
And
that makes
her
sense.
region is more than just Pakistan.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Well, yeah. I wasn't sure because how far are you, like, if you were to drive to India, how far are you think from the border?
About 5 hours, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, about 5 hours to India.
Oh, and Direwolf says all her finds. Oh, you did the same thing I did, Jesse.
Yeah.
All her finds are in the UK. It looks like so.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
Maybe she's in the UK. But go ahead.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
about 5 hours. Can you? So you're a British citizen.
Yeah.
This is side thing that came in my head. So I'm always curious. So if you were to just drive down to India and show them a passport, do you think you could get in, or they're going to wonder what you're doing? Like if you want to go cash,
they don't really get on. They don't really get on.
I know. I figured they didn't, but you're not Pakistani. You're British, so
I know. But like, if you, I don't think you can drive across the border. There's actually there's a cache which it's called the Wagga border crossing. There's one border crossing at a place called Wagga,
right,
which was the one I would go to, and there's a virtual there. And it's a real event. They have a big kind of ceremony of like changing the guard between India and Pakistan. They seem to get on quite well at that border crossing.
Right.
And I can't remember if you get that one, then maybe it counts as India, because I haven't got any in India, obviously. But
well,
if you want to fly,
yeah.
if you want to fly to Delhi, you have to fly to Dubai and then all the way back.
Oh, you can't fly straight, right? Because they don't, like you said, they're not friends. So
I mean, we went on holiday to Nepal. In late March, and the flight would probably be an hour from Islamabad.
Normally,
but Pakistan. I think Pakistan Airways can't fly over Indian airspace. I think.
Okay.
So again, we had to fly all the way to Dubai and then all the way back. The whole journey took about 16 hours to get to Nepal.
No.
And if it was a straight line, it'd be an hour. It's
right.
Yeah.
That's insane. Well, we know you need to go here in a minute. So we'll kind of get our final questions to you. So if there's any questions, chat room, this is this is the chance, because we got to let Simon go. He's got to go teach. So anyway, we'll check for a last minute. So Jesse, I guess I'm gonna go to you for final thoughts with Simon, and then I'll say something, and we'll let Simon finish, and we'll let him get on his way.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're still keeping the motivation and like caching alive, and you're most of the caching community in the whole country right now. So I mean, you may not be in Pakistan forever, but those caches will be there as long as who knows. But it's kind of interesting that it's keeping. It's just so opposite of what a lot of people face. I think it's very interesting, and also thank you for being a teacher, because that's a hard job. So
it's really made me. I know it's really made me appreciate. When I do go back to the UK, just how great caching is.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go crazy when you go back to the UK, or you're in some other country, or who knows.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, everybody, family, stay away. I'm gotta go caching. Just leave me alone for a while.
I did it last summer. We spent some time in Spain, in the south of Spain.
Oh,
and
there you go.
We took a day. I forgot to mention this, and we took a day trip to Morocco.
Oh,
because you can go on the boat. It takes about 3 hours, I think, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Morocco,
so we went to Tangier, and in Tangier, there's one traditional and a couple of earth caches. So I got the traditional and I got an earth cache. And then when we got back to Spain in the evening, I said to my wife, "You've really got to let me get a cache." She went, "Okay." So I got a cache in the town in Tarifa. So I got 2 continents in one day, which I don't think is a thing.
That's pretty impressive.
That's true. 2 continents in one day. That's
I have not done that.
Yeah.
Well,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, Simon, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We will definitely stay in touch.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And people are going to want to send travel bugs your direction. I don't know if a travel bug will ever make it to Pakistan, but people can try.
There's no postal service.
There's no. They can't mail it to him, but we can put it in a cache. But again, thank you so much. And
thank you.
If you ever need anything, if you need a contact, if you're in a weird country, let us know, and we can kind of try to help and everything.
Yeah.
But enjoy the rest of.
If I make
it, and if you decide to build a Where-I-Go, let us know. We'll help you build it.
Yeah, we'll get you one built. So again, thank you, sir. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Simon. Take care, buddy.
Great talking to you. Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
That was awesome. So
now he's got to go start his whole day now.
Yeah.
It's like 6:30 in the morning, 6:45 in the morning for him now. Now he's going to go
6:45. Yeah.
Could you? I mean, it's like kind of what we were talking about beforehand. Could you imagine living in a country where there's like only 3 cachers?
No, that's something that's wild in thinking about, is that we take it for granted. We really do.
Oh, I mean, come on, we're spoiled. We have caches everywhere.
We complain, or some people complain. Look, I've found all the caches in my city. It's like, well, how about trying to find all the caches in your country? And then what do you do? And so
he can legitimately find all the ones in his country.
He could.
He's already found a travel. So
I mean, to have places he can go, part of his enclave. But
I'm just thinking, I'd be willing to cash in on those. So he's got the oldest and only multi and the oldest and only letterbox. That's some pretty cool stats to have.
That's what
like nobody else can beat that, because he's got the oldest one there.
Yeah, that's what Owen from KC said. Cool stat. It's like, those are cool stats.
Well, the first and biggest event ever.
Great stories. Yeah, exactly. And you asked me too about I do not remember how I came across Simon, because you asked me, like, well, how'd you get a hold of this guy? And I'll be completely honest, I do not remember. And we started, and I added you to the conversation. We started talking across Messenger, and basically Facebook Messenger, and we're like, well, I would love to have you on. And then we're like, I don't know how we're going to do this, because he's how many hours do we figure out? He's 10 hours right now because of daylight savings time. So our 8:49 is his 6:49 a.m. Well, and I think Darren, I don't know if Darren's still on. The thing about Darren, let us know if you're still on, buddy. But when we talk to people who are in Australia, I guess the cool thing for us is that even though it's 8:00 here, it's at least far enough in advance for him. It's like 1 a.m. or not 1 a.m. It's like 1 p.m. or 11 a.m. His time. I'd have to look it up, but you get the idea. Here he is. Darren's there. What time is it, Darren? Tell me what time it is where you're at, buddy. Because the time gap to parts of Australia, because it's a huge continent, but is far enough to a point where it's kind of in the morning, whereas for him, 8 turned out to be 6 a.m., which is rough, but then he's got to get ready for school. So anyway, 11:50 a.m. So, that's still a weird time, but we can make it work because it's in, it's not like 6 a.m. his time, but, we could have a sister event, Pizza
Cache
Ninja.
Fest, Islamabad.
It could be a sister Cache Fest event.
We would probably get 100% of the cachers in the country to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. So Quincy Cryptid says, I think he mentioned only one was a local Pakistani person. The others are foreigners. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah, Direwolf. You act like 6 a.m. is early. Yeah, for some of us it is. For others, people get up at 6 a.m. all the time. I'm still asleep. I'm sorry. I don't have to get up early, thankfully. I walk 21 steps to work. So
I get to work about 6 a.m. So
yeah. You get, do you really? That's
I show up there about 6 and I get all my day started then, beat the traffic and everything else. So
and do you ever do like school bus duty and stuff and all that, or bus duty?
like that.
There are other people. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we covered quite a few things, and I think I showed. We're going to show the clue.
Like you talked about it. There's different wildlife everywhere. There's different laws and restrictions and security in all these places.
Yeah,
and he terrain. It's such a different
this one here
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me this photo and said that I think he said, let me find I'll leave that up for a second. Let me see. He sent me a note on that one. What did he say about that picture? Oh, that's in Saudi Arabia. Sorry, I climb up to a cache in Saudi Arabia. So, just interesting. Some of the photos he sent me was kind of cool. The monkey. He sent me
how many other people like him there are out there that are in a country that has only like a few geocaches, right? I mean, it's just such a different game for them.
He sent me this photo of this giant creature here.
What is that?
It's a dahab. It's a 2-foot long lizard you see while caching in Australia. And I'm thinking, dang, I would call it a dahab. It's a dang. That thing is huge. So 2-foot long lizard dinosaur creature. So insanity, man. That is insane. Is that the clue? Sure, Direwolf. We'll make that the clue then, buddy. That's your clue for tonight. So no, we'll do the clue here in a minute. So as we start to wrap up tonight, so oh gosh, I mean, it was great that we were able to get Simon.
Yeah, I'd like to have somebody on from every country in the world, except for maybe North Korea. But
yeah, well, yeah, but
I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, I like Pizza Ninja had same thought you did, Jesse.
Yep.
If somebody has an unused Adventure Lab, stick it in Islamabad, and then we'll send it to Simon, and he's like, "Oh, Adventure Lab! Oh my God!" For us, I could throw a stick out the window and hit 4 Adventure Labs.
But for him, that's 10 days of caching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't find all of them in one day.
No, that's the other thing. He's like, you really save up the caches, not just sort of like, I'll find that one next month. It's like, you want to savor those few that you'd almost want to try to talk your wife into starting an account just so that the two of y'all can find some caches.
Yeah, just like battle each other, I mean,
yeah,
you'd be so desperate. I think I would be so desperate to get others into it so I could do it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's going to go to the UK for a while, and maybe he can kind of do some geocaching feasting on because like he said, he could find a cache. I mean, it's just so different. Just we're so lucky wherever we are. Most people that listen in the world will have opportunities to find caches for the most part. So
absolutely.
All right, let's do this, and then we'll do a final wrap up. So let me push this button here. So we've got a vault clue to give, and this is clue 7. I can't believe there's 7 of them already for key 25, which hasn't been found. And so we're up to, I guess, 3 keys right now. Yours, you hit one that hasn't been found. Somebody else has
are you busting
one.
me out? Nobody's supposed
I
to
don't
know
know.
who did these.
Hey, the it's not been found. Who cares, right?
Only because Derek's here not to hit your bean footage. I see how it is.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, could be anywhere in the world, though. I mean, let's be honest.
My first one was found quicker than I thought it would be.
Right, in Colorado.
Yeah, that one in Colorado.
The first one in Colorado. Oh, maybe there's not another one in Colorado. Never know.
Maybe there is.
Who knows?
This most recent one of mine, I'm not even saying which one it is because there's more than one that have been found. Has not been found yet. So
that's cool. All right, here's the clue. There it is. There is a glorious LPC 63.47 miles from the Washington Monument. God, that's like, you're just giving it away now. I mean, what's the point of, somebody should find it here in a few minutes. Wait. So let me check my email. Somebody should be sending me their.
As Direwolf mentioned there, like a couple people said that was fun to interview somebody from there. We want to get, I don't even know how many countries currently tune into the show, but we would like to have somebody on from every one of those countries for sure and more.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. No, that would be really cool.
There is a way we can find that out, right? I know we've done it before. How many countries are tuning in regularly?
Yeah, I've done that. I haven't done it recently, but I'm always surprised. I mean, our little show is listened to all over. When we did CacheCon, we had people. When we did CacheCon, we had people that were live, and we're like, well, where y'all are? We're in Singapore, and we love Geocache Talk. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like awesome. So. Typically English speaking countries, but not all of them. I mean, we have a really big following, obviously Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and then a lot of European countries will listen. We love our Scandinavian and Nordic. So we get Sweden, Norway, Finland, and then a lot of the countries like Belgium, a lot of the Europeans, the France and the Spain, and some, those. But if you live in South America or Asia, we have a few that live in the Asian country section of the world. Yeah. But if you are, please send us an email. And let us know where you're listening. We're just kind of curious, but send an email, geocachetalk@gmail.com. It's just fun to hear from other parts of the world. Oh, yeah. It really is really cool.
Be careful, Gary will talk you into coming on the show, so be careful.
Yeah. Well, and we had I'm drawing a blank, but who lives in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
He used to live in China, but he lives in Hong Kong now. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I'm very sorry. I'll think of it in a minute. Well, I'll think of it when the show's done. I'll be like, no. So we've had a few folks on from other, Germany and the UK, obviously, and places like that. But it is kind of cool. Like you said, it's just a matter of working out the timing.
Absolutely.
It's a little tricky. What's that?
Absolutely. That's the timing is it
Conrad. There you
Even
go.
outside the language barrier.
Yeah.
It also becomes difficult.
Thank you, Pizza Ninja. Yeah, Conrad. And I missed Conrad. He came for the 20th anniversary. I didn't go, but would love to have seen him and his wonderful family. Was there in Abbotsford and Seattle area. So yeah, Conrad was a great interview. He's a great dude. So anyway, all right. Last thought, and we're gonna wrap up for tonight. And I got one last thought after yours. So go ahead.
I'm glad you were able to get him make this work. I never talked to a cacher in Pakistan before.
Right.
And it just reminds me again, like we can easily get focused on, like for us or for anybody else, your own country and your own area of geocaching. And even though we know it's a global game, sometimes we kind of forget that because we just think of our friends in the area and stuff like that. And maybe a mega, you think about that, because obviously one's coming up for us, but outside of that, you just think about it. It's such a small in your neighborhood or wherever you travel thing, but we kind of forget that people like regularly do this all over the world in a total different environment. It's cool to remember how global of a game this is. And we forget about it just being in our own little backyard.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely get spoiled in, all the major countries to think about.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in Pakistan, like you said, he's the top person, that, and he doesn't have anybody else. I mean, he has the one guy, but his back is not good. So it's like, it makes it rough. So, my last thought I wanted to mention was, 7th anniversary show. We always love people being on for all of our different shows on Thursdays and Sundays. But mark your calendar, the old save the date kind of thing. I know is a little cliche, but June 18th is the day that we are going to celebrate 7 years of Geocache Talk. Can you believe it's been 7, Jesse? It's incredible.
No, although a lot has happened during that last 7 years. If we kind of thought about what has happened over the last 7 years. And the cool thing behind all that is Geocache Talk stayed the whole time through all that.
We did. We went through all of it, and we've really had an incredible run. I've started to put together the whole show, and I've got to try to, I got to limit it down and try to fit all the various things that we did, at least comment on. But we've had so many incredible moments that it's going to be hard to try to, I'm pretty sure that'll be an hour and a half. We'll try to keep it to an hour and a half because things are starting to pour in, people wanting to leave comments, and you never know, there might be some surprises. And I know I'm not even going to show it. That's for me, that's a lot to not spill the beans, but I've got a really cool prize that I got two really cool prizes we're going to give away that night. So definitely, if you can, be on live. We love our audio listeners, but if you can, try to make it live on June 18th at 8 p.m. Central Time. Work out the time for yourself. But again, that'll be a fun night. And again, thanks everybody for being with us tonight. And we will see you Thursday and then next week. And go get that cache that's out there. It's just waiting. It's just sitting there. So that'll be it for tonight. Thanks everybody. And Gary's going to find the button to push to say good night. Good night, everybody. If I can find it. Where is it? Where is he hiding? Where is it hiding? Here we go.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.